another scholar by the name of Conti, and this is the website here, conti-creations.com. It's another one of these online inventories that you can do that is seeking to link your particular style with wider beliefs that you have and wider philosophies that you actually hold without ever having thought about it. You've got certain, or even knowing the terms, you've got certain kind of assumptions. In other words, what are you bringing into this? You're bringing a whole bunch of assumptions into play. And so there's a sort of 7 factors that are there, and I put them on the sheet, that it's in light of those 7 factors that this inventory that you do will be measuring you, will be responding to you, will be organizing you, right? So you'll know more about yourself as a teacher having done those exercises is the goal. With all of these kinds of inventories to know thyself as a teacher, I always would recommend with a grain of salt, as my mother would say. Do you have that expression? You know, take something with a grain of salt. My mother's full of these wise little expressions that the older I get, the more I sound like my mother, I think. She's got these, so in other words, it could be useful, it could be less useful. You could think, oh, I gained a really good insight there. Or you might think, it's okay, right? This is not any kind of sort of divine revelation about you. They're just tools, right? They're human instruments to try to help you understand yourself, understand your style, understand your commitments, understand where you're coming from. And some of these are very useful because they get at the question of, deep down, what are you really wanting to see happen, right? Are you really wanting to see a kind of intellectual change in people? Is that really the way you're wired and what you're really valuing? Are you really into a kind of behavioral level change? Are you really into social transformation out there? What really is driving you? What are you really about? What do you really care about? So that comes out of your sense of values and beliefs, and this is sort of to tease out some of those values and beliefs, right? And the point that I find useful about these, although all of them are kind of, you know, they are what they are, none of them are perfect, and I don't put stock too much in any one of them alone, but to put them together is kind of helpful. But it is true that I think that our teaching reflects some of our core values and what we really do care about. It can't help but, right? According to everything that I've been saying, it can't help but. It just helps you name them and identify them and you know, sort of bring them out into the open a bit more. Because if you are going to express who you are, some of those deep down core beliefs about what's really important to you, is it more intellectual development, is it more sort of emotional change, is it more behavioral, is it more social, for instance, at those levels? That's just good to think about, right? It's good to know that. And then if you think, well, that's probably also true of all the people I'm teaching. For some of them, they're really after a lot of intellectual change and intellectual stimulation. For others, they're out to really change the world, right? They want everything to happen. You know, like better change, etc. Other people are more after a kind of personal, you know, almost spiritual kind of growth. So it just helps put all those dynamics into our consciousness and to think about the space that we're creating as a learning space and think about what it is that we're doing on the teaching side to foster a kind of outcome. Back to the Bain point, which is thinking about the end, thinking about the outcome, thinking about what kind of change you're actually looking to have experienced. Okay? So those are some tools. If those are helpful, so be it. If not, and there's others too. There's bunches and bunches out there, and you may be familiar with others. Your organization may have worked with some others. There's lots of other things out there that are useful that I've also used in the past. So it's not that these are only ones, but they are part of the mix that could be useful. Okay? So know thyself as a teacher. The more you know yourself and reflect upon that consciously in shaping will be to the good of all,